So before I go to bed and wake up at 6 in the morning for another work week, I'm going to do a quick news of the week kind of video. And remember, we are getting to the point of the year where, since it's the off season of MLS, I'm going to be doing two news of the week video instead of just one I do during the regular season. Landon Donovan has named the manager of the new USL team San Diego Loyals that is going to be playing next season, and I don't think a lot of people should be surprised by this. I mean, you knew that once this team was announced and that, Donovan was gonna pretty much create this team in San Diego and put them into USL, that there's gonna be only one guy that he thinks about managing this team, and that of course is himself. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how he's gonna do as a manager. I mean, he's always talked about how he wants to be a manager, and this is a good start up for him in terms of trying to get some experience as a manager. And by the way, I already look at the way the team logo and some of the potential jerseys that they're gonna wear for their upcoming season, and let's just say that that kind of design is getting right into the level of Las Vegas Lights kind of level, which is kind of a very meme kind of level and kind of just something that you can easily make fun of. So I don't exactly what's gonna happen with San Diego Loyals. Maybe they could be like the next Las Vegas Lights in the USL. Now, Donovan's old team, the Galaxy, have already announced that they might have found their replacement for Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who of course departed last week. And their replacement for him is Edison Cavani. Now, Edison Cavani was heavily linked with Miami throughout the past couple of months, and now it seemed like the Galaxy are looking to try to kind of steal this offer from Inter Miami and maybe trying to get Edison Cavani to LA instead of going to Miami. Now, Miami themselves, when they heard this news, I think they were kind of almost wanted to have a counter rumor move that, if they're not going to get Cavani, they're going to have a second option and make sure the second option does get into the news cycle, because just after when Edison Cavani was rumored to go to the Galaxy, there was a rumor saying that multiple clubs, with Inter Miami the leading candidate, looking to sign Mario Mandzukic. Now, Mario Mandzukic, just like Edison Cavani, isn't the player that hasn't been rumored to come to MLS. I think it was a couple of months ago that there was a rumor that Mandzukic could potentially come to MLS, and now it's resurfacing once again, except this time it looked like he could potentially go to Inter Miami. But other than that, it'll be very interesting to see if both of these players will come to MLS. I mean, I'm assuming maybe one of them would come to MLS, and the player that I think might come might be Edison Cavani, knowing the fact that Miami has been just rumored that they were gonna bring that superstar kind of DP signing to the team to really kind of get the fan base very excited about this upcoming season. And they've been linked with Luis Suarez a lot, and that they have been linked with Edison Cavani, and that it seemed like Cavani most likely could be the candidate, but we shall see. With the Galaxy, if they think about maybe getting Cavani instead of Inter Miami, you wonder where Miami is going to go, and whether if they even think about getting Mario Mandzukic, who, as much as I know they want to have a striker as their top DP level and that top star that they have been promising for this upcoming season, Mario Mandzukic is not that kind of player. I mean, he's not a number 9 kind of player, so it'll be very interesting to see how this is going to go. Jack Wilshere has once again rumored to come to MLS, probably for the 50th time in the past couple of years. I mean, this guy has been rumored to come to MLS for the last couple of years, and yet every time, whenever we had this talk about in the news cycle and talk about how Wilshere could potentially come to MLS, that rumor quickly buries out. So I don't think this is going to be true, and I think this, like the previous kind of rumor about Jack Wilshere coming to MLS, is going to be dead and buried in a couple of days. But you never know. Maybe a club might be interested to see if he can, of course, help out for their team. I mean, I'm pretty sure every team knows that, as much as Jack Wilshere was supposed to be a rising star, but the only reason why he never lived up to his potential was all the injuries that he has suffered, knows that they'll probably won't get him because of the injury concern. I mean, he's definitely a good player that could fit in any MLS team, but the problem is the injury concern is going to happen, and I'll be very surprised that if he does come to MLS and join a team, I'll be surprised if he can even last 1 year in MLS, and especially how in MLS it's more demanding than you would see in the Premier League in terms of the travel and also the short week that MLS does have compared to the Premier League. The Portland Timbers have released Brian Fernandez, and at first when I saw this, I was kind of a little bit stunned because they literally just paid $10 million for him a couple of months ago, and now they decided to release him. But you got to also remember, Brian Fernandez, this is a guy that has been having trouble with, cocaine usage and also drug kind of abuse when he was in Liga MX with Necaxa, and that if you guys also remember back when the postseason was about to start, Brian Fernandez actually voluntarily entered the substance drug abuse program that MLS has, and it seemed like the Timbers kind of didn't want to deal with him anymore, and that he kind of had some serious problem, so that is exactly why they decided to release him. But by God, that's $10 million that the Timbers have just wasted there, and that, at least the good news is they don't have to deal with him anymore. But, if only, like, in the beginning time when he was joining the Timbers, he was really just on fire. Like, he looked like the guy that was worth every penny of that $10 million that they signed him back in the middle of the season. But again, with his past history of drug abuse and also cocaine usage, that something tells me that he probably won't be staying for the Timbers a lot, and that you hope that he won't have that issue when he was with the Timbers, but because of the fact that he decided to go into that drug substance abuse program, you feel like it's kind of that issue that he has in the past is coming back into service, and that's why the Timbers kind of in some way decided that, we're not going to deal with this anymore, and we're just going to release him. The Seattle Sounders defender Brad Smith is reported to loan back to Bournemouth. Now, this has been a discussion for the past couple of months with Brad Smith and the fact that, is he going to stay with the Seattle Sounders, and is the Sounders thinking about trying to get Brad Smith? And Brad Smith has definitely been one of the best defender and probably one of the best fullback in the league. The problem for the Sounders is that they cannot really keep him on a long-term deal because, they of course got him from a loan to Bournemouth. And from what I've heard, Brad Smith, he says that he wants to go back to England and want to play with Bournemouth. And it's kind of understandable because he's still a very young player and he got a lot of experience coming here in MLS, and that he hoped that this kind of experience, once he go back to Europe and go back to England, and that Bournemouth might look at this and maybe give him more playing time than when he first joined the club. But yeah, this is definitely something that the Sounders, they're going to have to make a decision whether or not if they're going to buy him or just going to loan him back. I mean, if they're going to buy him, it's definitely going to be a hefty price considering the way that he has been performing for this team, and that he's been one of their most important player, and that when you saw how this team were without him for a stretch of this season, how crippled that defense is. So, it's a big decision for the Sounders to think about whether or not if they're going to keep him or they just decided to just kind of loan him back to Bournemouth and decided to not pay for the cost. Aaron Long has reported to be linked with Southampton. So Aaron Long, I think this is probably the third time this year that he's been linked with a Premier League team. Although this time, I think this one kind of makes sense with the way that he is linked with Southampton. I mean, Southampton, from what I know, is a team that is not doing very well in the Premier League, and they're desperate in terms of trying to get some defensive help. And that Aaron Long, we have been having this discussion of the fact that is he going to be the next Red Bull player that make the next level or jump to the next level and go to Europe? Is he going to be follow the footstep of Tyler Adams that is going to go to Europe and continue to develop his career so that he could be a good center back for the U.S. men's national team? And if Aaron Long decided to leave this offseason and to join Southampton, I think it can definitely help him in terms of jumping his career into the next step, and that maybe with him joining that club, he could be our future center back for the U.S. men's national team. Like, I know there's been a lot of U.S. men's national team fans are hoping that Aaron Long can develop what they hope he could be when they, of course, first found out his potential and that he could be one of the best defender for the national team. But when you look at the past couple of performances when he was with the U.S. men's national team, it hasn't been very, very good. And that you even seen this season with the Red Bulls. I mean, there's been some shaky moments that he had with the Red Bulls, and that you just wonder, is he going to get a chance in terms of making that next jump to go to Europe, or any European team is going to interest him because of the fact that he kind of had a shaky season. But it seemed like Southampton are willing to try to give him a shot. And if I was Aaron Long and if I was the Red Bulls, which there's a report that this is going to be a $5 million price tag that Southampton is going to pay, although I think it's going to be $6 million because Aaron Long currently have a $6 million release clause, according to the Red Bulls. So I think probably it's going to be a $6 million transfer, and that if you're the Red Bulls and you see like a $6 million price tag to able to sell one of your player, I think you're definitely going to take it. Like most team, whenever you got that big of a price tag, you're definitely going to try to take the money and try to see if you can continue to develop another good defender to try to replace Aaron Long. Mario Mandzukic says that he also want to potentially join alongside with Aaron Long to go to Europe, and this is another one of those moves that it's kind of almost scratching the surface of the fact that Mario Mandzukic could potentially go to Europe. I mean, pretty much the entire attacking three for the Dynamo has been rumored to go to Europe, with Albert Valise, Kyoto, and Mario Mandzukic potentially going to go to Europe. And with the way that the Dynamo is kind of like in a rebuilding mode right now, and that they kind of is started to be able to find a replacement for Elise and Mandzukic with Quintero that they signed in the last couple of days, and also signed Ramirez just a couple of months ago. I feel like this might tells me that the Dynamo might think about moving forward with Elise and Mandzukic, and that this might be the offseason where eventually both of them will be sold off to Europe. And with Mandzukic, of what he has done for the past couple of years, and that I really think not a lot of people have talked about Mandzukic being one of the most lethal striker in the league. I mean, this guy has had now back-to-back years where he has scored more than 10 goals. I believe this season he scored 13 or 12 goals, and in the previous season he scored 16 goals. This is a very good kind of striker that I feel like deserve a chance to go to Europe. And we shall see if the Dynamo are willing to kind of accept the fact that, despite the fact that they're going to lose their best two attacking combo player in Elise and Mandzukic, if you get the good price tag for them, I think it's worth it to try to sell them off, especially you already have thought about coming with a plan to replace them with the signing of Ramirez and Quintero in these last couple of months. New England have re-signed defender DeJuan Jones to a new contract, and I think this is also another one of those no-brainer, considering DeJuan Jones has been having a pretty solid rookie season, and that if he can of course continue to improve on what he has done in this rookie year, this could be a guy that be maybe in conversation to be one of the best defender in the league. So yeah, again, the refs, this was a great idea that they, of course, re-signed him. And so far, the refs have done a very good job in terms of re-signing a couple of their players that have been having a good season. And I'm definitely going to be interested to see what the refs are going to do next season. And that, we saw what Bruce Arena can do with this team, and we saw how this team definitely had the potential of potentially be a decent team in the Eastern Conference. I'm very interested to see how that's going to play out heading into next season. Former Chivas USA owner Jorge Vergara unfortunately dies at the age of 64, and this, of course, happened a couple of days ago. And, despite the fact that when he decided to bring in a new franchise called Chivas USA and decided to hope that this new franchise can get some of the Hispanic and Latino kind of fan base in LA to pretty much support this team and maybe becoming one of the best supported team in MLS. And eventually that didn't quite work because of the fact that they didn't think about how, just because you decided to bring a parented kind of team, like a second level parented team to the main team into MLS, doesn't mean that you are going to draw a lot of fans, and that it doesn't mean it's going to just please all of the Hispanic and Latino community down there in LA. But despite the fact that it didn't quite work out, and that we found out a couple of years later that this team eventually went out of business, and that this was, to this day, the most recent team to be folded in MLS. It's kind of sad, the fact that Jorge Vergara unfortunately dies at the age of 64, and I believe he died because of a heart attack. So certainly rest in peace for him, and that thoughts and prayers to his family in terms of having to deal of their loss of their loved ones in this incident. But to kind of end in a little bit of a happy note, RSL USL team Real Monarchs have won MLS Cup, and I don't know why I said with USL Cup, but they actually won USL Cup there. I mean, I've been very busy today, and I'm kind of getting in a point where I'm ready to go to bed and just get some good sleep before I have to wake up 6 in the morning to go to school. But yeah, they of course won USL Cup, and that they of course beat Louisville City in the USL Cup. And believe it or not, this was kind of a little bit of an upset that they were able to beat Louisville City, because Louisville City coming into the USL Cup against Real Monarchs was heavy favorites, considering the fact that they were the champions of USL for the past 2 years, and that they looked like they were most likely going to get the three-peat. But Real Monarchs was able to step up to the challenge and cause a bit of an upset in the USL champion, and that they of course won their first title in USL. So congratulations to Real Monarchs in terms of winning their first ever USL Cup. But yeah, either way guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time with another Sports Hub series episode.